So if you have questions today, today's the day to ask your questions. And Dr. Newton's going to start with an update.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let the federal guys talk first. I think we have one field rep, Nathan Deathloff, is here with Congressman Lucas's office, so I'll let him do a quick update on the federal issues. And then all those Trump questions you can ask him because he has more to do with them than I do. So I don't see any of your senator friends here, field reps. So Nathan, come up here and give us a little update.
Absolutely. And I see that me and Representative Newton got the stripes memo, but Senator Murdock didn't. So I think I've met everybody. My name is Nathan Deathloff. I'm the field rep for Congressman Lucas here in Woods County. If we haven't met at Community Coffee, I've been to a couple, but I'd love to meet you. Couple things that we've been working on. Our biggest priority right now in the House is getting a budget written. Currently, we're working off a continuing resolution that passed in December that funds us all the way through March 14th. So in about a month, we're going to have really serious conversations about passing another continuing resolution or passing a fiscal year 25 now budget, or 26, excuse me. So there you're going to hear talk of a shutdown. We're obviously hoping to avoid that, but at the end of the day, we'll see where it lands. The Republican conference is really focused on extending the 2017 Trump tax cuts, and so that's kind of where we are federally. Another key provision that we're working on as an office is the Farm Bill. So we're currently working off the extension of the 2018 Farm Bill. So it's been, 7 years since we've passed a full Farm Bill. And a lot has changed in agriculture in the last 7 years. Input costs have increased. Cost of all goods has increased. And there's a lot of programs that need to be revisited and redone. So we're looking to redo a new Farm Bill. That's kind of our office's main goal right now. At the end of 2024, Congress passed the Farm Act, which was essentially $20 billion for agricultural producers to offset natural disasters, droughts that we've had, some of those hurricanes in North Carolina and all those kind of natural disasters that we had. But that was kind of a stopgap measure to fill in for the lack of index crop price raised at the Farm Bill. So we're hoping to actually get a Farm Bill written. As always, the government's kind of crazy. If you have specific questions, let me know. I have cards. I'd love to give you one. And I'd love to take questions. Anybody have anything right now?
Nathan,
Yeah.
I admittedly just read the headline of the article this morning about the 1,700 NRCS employees getting laid off. What do you have any insight on? It's like we are waiting for a grass conversion for NRCS and have been told it's on pause. I can't imagine this is going to speed that process up.
We don't think it will, and you're in the same boat with a lot of producers. We have a lot of folks who are just kind of stuck on that. And really the way that the federal government, the executive branch is taking this is they want to essentially pause everything, then evaluate. And the line is to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. And so because of that, there are several programs that are non-mandatory spending that are going to be affected. And so, being a producer, Congressman Lucas is really concerned about that. We really don't want NRCS or FSA or really any services that our constituents use to be affected. But it seems like right now that's kind of where the administration is. All right.
Take it into. We flipped a coin over there, and he said I get to go first. So, anyway, no, it's great to be back home. It's always nice to be back home, and so just want to catch up on what I want to give you an overview first of all of the budget. Okay, the DEQ for Valentine's Day, we finally got our numbers on what we're going to be able to use for a budget this year. The Board of Equalization came in and gave the numbers. And it was the December estimates, we were about $300 million short of being level. If we had kept the same budget we had last year, and put it this year, we would be $300 million short. The numbers came in $72 million better than what they were projected to be in December. So on February 14th, we got those numbers. So that's the numbers we got to appropriate off. On that numbers, we can appropriate 95%. That other 5% is kind of an adjustment figure where we can be and where we can't be. Well, you say, well, we're down. Yeah, we're down, but in the last year, we did the grocery tax, okay? And the impact on the state government was $428 million, okay? And so that's money you got to keep in your pocket when you went and bought essential groceries. Now, it didn't cover, that grocery tax took the 4.5 cent tax off essential groceries, the state part. We did not mess with this local part, thank God, or the other county. That was just purely the state portion, because the other part needs to stay to keep our communities and stuff like that. And so we made that cut. The governor is wanting an income tax cut, which I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Okay? So, because let me give you my thoughts. This is just Carl's thoughts on this. First of all, we'll say $250 million short of what we were last year because of the grocery tax cut. So, yes, if you look, we've got almost $4 billion in reserves. Okay? If we do he wants a half and a pass, so he wants a half cent taken off. Right now, your income tax is 4 3/4%. Very low compared to what your federal is. Okay, 4 3/4. In 2021, we dropped it a quarter. It was 5, and we dropped it in 2021. He wants to drop it another half. In the last few years, we dropped the corporate income tax, and so he wants to decrease the personal income tax. Well, there's some factors we need to look at. He says that 0.5% would only cost you $200 million off the budget. Well, his numbers aren't accurate. I'm sorry. He's figuring it off of what it would be off the general revenue and a portion of a year, because the funding year is separate from the calendar year, okay? It's only 40%. So his numbers is only what it impact the general fund for that 40% of the year, which would be about $200 million. But in actuality, in a whole calendar year, it would be a hit of between $600 to $700 million out of the budget. Okay, that's the hard facts. And if we take a half, because we did possibly move 0.25% last year, and that was going to be between $300 to $350 million. That's where the numbers I'm coming up with. An actual bill that had physical analysis of the impact. His numbers don't match up, but I think my numbers are better. Of course, I've got basis for mine. Now, so let's look at this. That would be $670 million. So we're close to $900 million short. Okay? Well, you know, we passed on the Medicaid expansion, right? Everybody of lower income now can get on Medicaid no matter. Before it was 18 and under or 65 and older. But everybody in between got to be, on the income basis, got added to that Medicaid money, which at the time is 90-10. The federal government pays 90% of it, we pay 10%. Not a bad deal. How many of you guys would like to do that? Not bad. However, we have had a change in administration, right? And now the talk is 60-40. The talk was that before that. 60% federal government, 40% state government. That will be an impact of another $600 to $700 million out of the budget. So, if we had the grocery, we're short $250 million, we got $700 million coming out of here, out of this change on the federal government. If they move that, change that percentage, We're down $1 billion already. So 4 years, we'll probably be all right, because I'll be out of here in 4 years. But in the long term, I don't think it's a good deal. So if you put another 600, 700 million from the income tax cut, that's $1.6 billion cut in the budget from what we are right now. Now, his idea is that that's going to incentivize people to come to Oklahoma. We're going to have more growth and stuff like that, and we can overcome that. I live on the real dollars I have. You know what I mean? I don't like to project your money based on hopes that more people will come, more business will come. It may happen. That's just my concerns about the budget on that. So that gives you an idea of where we're at on the budget. I think the numbers, the reason we were able to put money back in savings, a lot of that was just federal influx from the COVID and the ARPA and all those funds. They helped a lot. I'm not griping about them, but there was, people, and even here, you guys got funds to help your business and stuff like that from ARPA grants. And that kind of boosted everything up a little bit. And now I think we're getting into a real world situation. We're having to live on our own dollars, not money that's infused into the state. And so that's one of my concerns there. And me and Senator Murdock lived through the shortfall where we had to raise taxes. I don't want to do it again. I don't like it. And so that's why I'm cautious on the budget. Let's see what happens on the federal government. Let's give us a year. See what happens on the federal government picture before we decide to change a bunch of things on the state level. I mean, there's talks of dropping the Board of Education. I mean, on the federal level, without funds would still come to Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma would decide how they were. The same thing I just heard, maybe the DEQ might be changed, dropped, and given more. I like the idea that we have more local control at the state level versus living on the federal level where we decide how we live based off New York or California, the most populous states, how they decide what we're going to do. I like having that deal, but I want to make sure how that impacts us before we go making cuts and stuff like that. And if you give me a year, I'm good, okay? Well, maybe it may take two, but I want to look at, see how this, because we're in the honeymoon period for Trump, okay? Like Nathan said, they made a lot of they're cutting a lot of employees. That's those that are part-timers and, they're not there all the time. Those that are getting ready to retire, they're allowing them to do that. He can do those cuts on that right now, but long-term he can't do that. And so those are just short-term cuts, and he's trying to bring down things. And so we're in the honeymoon period, everybody's, and so give us a year, let's see how things settle out before we make another income tax cut. That's where I'm at, okay? But I want to see what the Oklahoma does for the long term. And so I am just to give you a highlight on some of the bills I'm running. I'm running my water bill again this year. Senator Murdock likes it so much, he's going to run one too. Similar. So we'll see which one makes it through, mine or his. But we are trying to have them do measuring on commercial water use so that we know how much water use we are taking out of our underground aquifers, so we can get an idea where we need to be on that. And so we are working still on that. I am also working on another prior authorization bill. The bill that I did last year was on procedures. If you're going to have a medical procedure or a certain treatment plan or something like that, you have to get prior authorizations from your insurance to be able to do that. And so I simplified some of the analysis there, and then also if it's a knee problem, okay, and you're rejected, a lot of times it's just a nurse practitioner, a PA, or general practitioner that doesn't, just a general doctor. If you're rejected the first time, the second analysis on a knee problem is done by an orthopedic instead of just somebody that isn't familiar with the area. So that, we did do some of that. This year I'm moving it over to medications, which generally will affect our general practitioners. I mean, a lot of your general practitioners aren't doing surgeries or stuff like that, but they are prescribing medications. It's very frustrating as a doctor to be able to call in a prescription, well, that one's not approved. Well, we got to find a new one, and so we're working on that. And if I have diabetes and I'm on insulin, okay, not likely is when my prior authorization runs out, is my diabetes going to go away? Is it? And so we're trying to extend those prior authorizations so they will continue for a longer period of time, so you don't have to go back and ask the insurance company every time you turn around to get more medication. And so that's what I'm working on this year, and it's going well. I've got all the people in the group. A lot of you guys don't know what a PBM is. Mr. Holderwood. They are the major pharmacy managers up there that oversee a lot of that, and so we've got them in the room. We've got them all in the room, and I told them nobody's going to be happy when we get done, and so that's how we'll know it's a good bill. Because not everybody's going to be happy. Because, you know, when you make a hard negotiation, it hurts. And so I'm wanting it to be beneficial. I said, my goal is the patients of Oklahoma. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm retiring, and, you know, I see patients once a week, once every 2 weeks while I'm in session, so it's not going to impact me, but I'm concerned about you, the patients, that we can treat you in a better manner. I've got some other bills, but I don't want to take up all the time. I'll let the senator talk, and then we'll be open to questions. Thank you very much. Senator.
Thank you, Carl. And it hurts me because he said he has a water bill and I have a water bill. I like to say we have a water bill because Carl is going to be my house author on my water bill because I trust him and he's a great guy. I have full faith in this gentleman right here, but I'm not his author in the Senate on his bill, so I don't know. I don't know. But my bill is better. Kidding. Anyway, yeah, $300 million short of what we had last year. I don't want to, I'm not saying that was the grocery tax. Because it's all on how you spend it. Yeah, it's the same dollars, but is it what we gave you guys back, the money we gave you guys back when you buy groceries, or is it $300 million that we spent over here in this program, or $300 million that we spent in this program, or $300 million that we gave in a tax credit to XYZ Corporation? We've been living pretty good the last few years. And what do we have in savings?
Close to $4 billion.
Close to $4 billion.
3.7, I think.
That's the revenue coming in the state that we had extra. That's y'all's money. So I'm not going to apologize for giving y'all, well, I'm not going to apologize for giving y'all money back when you go buy groceries. Or not, maybe not giving it back, but not taking it. Because that's y'all's money. So you'll never hear me say, well, we're $300 million short, and that was the grocery tax that we gave back to y'all. I'm going to say we're $300 million short because we spent $300 over here, we spent $300 over there. It's about priorities. Yes, Carl and I came in bad times. The worst of times. We had to make hard votes. And the votes that Carl and I made in 15, 16, and 17 is why we have $4 billion in savings. We took some tough votes. I don't want to go back there. And if we're not careful right now, maybe Carl and I won't be there, but a future legislature will be there. Because when I came in 14, 15, we were $630 million hole in the budget with no savings, zero. And I'm like, what happened? Because in 07, 08, 09, during that time, I remember filling up with diesel, and it was $4.50 a gallon. Oil's at 120. Oklahoma lives and breathes on oil and gas. That is our budget. What happened to all this money? What happened? It was gone. And we're $600 million hole in the budget. I'm gonna say somebody up there didn't have the right priorities. Moving forward, looking off hindsight, I think now's the time that we pull the reins up a little bit. So that Carl and I don't put a future legislature into having to make these tough decisions. And I think everyone that I have talked to at the Capitol, we're along the same lines. Let's pull the reins up a little bit, see what's happened. I know right now we're really scared about Medicaid expansion. Because that's going to be a major hit to us. And I don't know what's going to happen on the feds level. I guess when that time comes, we can yell at Nathan. But that's what I'm going to say about the budget. Oh, the Capitol, that building down there is, the evil has left the building. You remember the last 4 years, all it was a fight down there. And what frustrated me most about it is you guys don't care about that fight down there. You guys don't see the speaker and the pro tem fighting every day. That it's the House versus the Senate versus the governor's mansion. What y'all see is it's all Republicans down there, and all they're doing is fighting. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating for me. That has left the building. On the Senate side, the evil forces that was causing those fights are gone, either termed out or lost their races. We have a new pro tem. We have a new speaker. And guys, it's great. They're not being snidey to each other. They're not putting snidey press releases out about one another. They're not talking bad about each other. They're showing each other respect. And that feels good. After the last 4 years of being down there and they're acting like children, this feels good. And not only does it feel good, we're going to be able to accomplish things. We're going to be able to do good work for you guys, where the last 4 years we didn't. So I'm very optimistic. Okay, so this is my fourth eggs and issues. So I've got to remember what I said last week. So I'm like, okay, I already said that. Well, I may not already said that to you guys. I do want to say something. Did Nathan do a heck of a job here today? Let's give him. And I take credit for that because I trained him. Nathan was my intern a few years ago and did a tremendous job in the office. Up until this year, he was my favorite. I've got an intern this year she is on the ball now. Nathan, you better be worried because she is sharp.
She's a lot cuter than you are, too.
Well, that too. But no, Nathan started in my office as an intern in 20, yeah, he did a great job. So bills I'm running, I've got 43 bills. And I know I've probably given this speech one year, I ran 60 bills and I said never again. It is exhausting and yeah, I've got 43 bills. And I started out with 70 ideas. And I toned those down to 43, and my EA, who is the best, said, okay, let's go through them again and see what we can call out and wait for next year. And going through them, every one of these bills need to happen. And they range from price transparency at hospitals, that you know what the hospital is going to charge you when you go to the hospital, to 3 or 4 CLO bills at school land. And I know I've gotten a lot of phone calls from Woods County about CLO auctions and what's been going on with school land stuff. So I've got 3 or 4 bills on that. I've got a Kratom bill. Have you all ever heard of Kratom? What do you think about it? Or you've just heard about it?
I just heard about it.
Okay. I knew nothing about it. It was a request bill that a lobbyist brought me. Knew nothing about it. And I'm going over, he goes, hey, will you carry this bill? And I'm like, sure. He's a friend of mine, sure, I'll carry it. And I'm looking at him, I don't get it. What? And first, I didn't even know what kratom was. And it's a, I don't want to call it an energy drink. It is an herbal, but I want to say it's brain power. I'd never heard of it, never taken it, and he goes, here, try it. It's all herbs, it's all natural. Man, that day I was firing on all 8 cylinders, all 8 cylinders. I might have been firing on some cylinders too, I don't know, but this stuff was good stuff. But anyway, what I did with that bill, there is some synthetic kratom out there that is dangerous, that's illegal, and this bill clarified this. Synthetic kratom is illegal in the state of Oklahoma. So that bill. I've got summer meals for kids, and this was important. So what was going on with that, Trump actually in his first administration initiated the summer EBT program, food for kids, you know. Why this is important. When I was on the school board at Felt, we were doing breakfasts and lunches. And, you know, Felt's broke most of the time. We were discussing about doing away with breakfasts. And I told the board, I'm like, no, we can't do that. Because a lot of these kids, this is the only breakfast they get. And when you are a child and your brain is growing and learning, you've got to have that fuel. You've got to have that food. And so last year, a couple of years ago, the governor, Biden kept it. That was one of the policies that Trump started. Biden kept it and went on. Well, the governor, because it's a Biden deal, said, no, we're not doing it. Why I'm saying this, since Trump started it, I want the governor to know this was Trump's idea. Trump did this. This isn't a Biden holdover. We need to continue to do it here in Oklahoma. So I've got that bill out there. I know Carl's going to give me the hook here pretty soon, so I'm going to wrap it up. I've got a bunch of victim protection bills and bills against sexual predators. So with that, I'm going to kind of shut it down and take questions. I don't know where we're at on time.
Yeah, we're good. Great.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, let's.
What's COO?
School land, commissions of the land office. So to give you, since we have time, I'll tell you a little bit about it. So the hard thing with dealing with CLO is when our country, when we were expanding west, the federal government, before a state could come into the union, they wanted the state to be able to educate their kids. And they said, before we take you into the union, you have to, and it's in the Enabling Act into Oklahoma coming into the union, every western state has it, but they designated every section, 13 and 33 in every township as school land. And the revenue off of these lands paid for higher ed and common ed. And that money helps pay for education. So why it's hard is a lot of the rules that they are governed by is in the Enabling Act. That's beyond what we can run bills on. We can write law for. So over the time, and in early 80s, the OEA sued them, which forced the auctions every 5 years to auction their leases. And most of it is ag land, farms, ranches, and so the revenue off that lease goes to education. So they're not making any more land. And a lot of families, I know here in Woods County, has had it forever, and they go bid on it and they have it. One of the problems and what's been happening is you have groups from out of state coming in here and running these bids way up. And That's one of the issues. The other issue is they don't pay ad valorem tax. That's a big thing. So they have 750,000 acres in the state of Oklahoma. In Cimarron,
What part of the state is it in?
it's in western Oklahoma because it did not affect the tribal land. So, you know, most of eastern Oklahoma is tribal. They didn't section that out for school land. It's all western Oklahoma. 750,000 acres. 236,000 acres is in Cimarron County. 20% of the county is CLO. You take 20% off your not paying ad valorem tax, that hurts the county, that hurts the schools, because about 82% of ad valorem taxes goes to pay for that school. And I like to argue the fact that that 236,000 acres that is CLO land, there's not a family living on it, and that family that's not living on it is not sending their kids to school, is not buying groceries at the grocery store, is not buying their Ford pickup at the Ford dealership. And I bring this up because Boise City at one time had a Ford dealership, and they don't anymore. We had 3 schools in Cimarron County. We have 2 now. It affects county government. It affects the county by that massive amount of land. So I had a bill on that said if any county has 10% or more of its entire area in CLO, they had to make basically an in lieu of payment to the county for ag land value. To try to address the bids, and then there's been a lot of other problems. CLO does not build fence on it. They do not have any of the improvements on the land. It's the leasee. If I have a CLO piece of property and Carl comes and outbids me and he takes over, normally there's a gentleman's agreement. He will pay me for my fences or I'll pick them up. Normally, he just pays me for my fences. Several occasions, Carl just says, I'm not paying you for your fence. I don't need a fence. Well, if you got a 5-wire fence there, that's a lot of labor to go pick it up. And I'm like, I'm gonna go after him in 5 years and get it back, so I'm not gonna pull the fence out. But I'm out that money. So I have a bill that, and I'm being a little creative with this because I think it will protect the leasee to help maintain his lease. I have a bill that the CLO will appraise all the improvements on CLO land, and if and when Carl beats my bid, he has until December 1st. Those auctions are in October. He has until December 1st to pay me for my fences on the appraised value that the CLO puts on them. And if he does not pay by December 1st, it reverts back to the next closest bid. My hopes is it'll protect that argument from having that argument of he didn't pay me for my fence. It will also protect, you know, that I don't know what it costs to put in a fence here in Woods County at home. It's about $10,000 a mile. You guys got more rocks than I have, so it may be higher. But say on a section of land, that's 4 miles. That's $40,000. He'd have to figure out to pay me another $40,000 on top of his lease. That may protect that rancher that's had this in his family forever from someone from Florida coming in and try to run him up. That's kind of the intention on that. What's another bill I have? I just had a long meeting with them yesterday about all of them.
Only got 40 more to go.
Yeah, but I'm 100% right now. Every bill I've heard in committee is out. I've gotten 1 bill off the floor. We are rocking and rolling. Questions?
Yeah. So Senator Bullard, I think, and Durant had Senate Bill 92, which would do $500 million to OWRB for water and sewer infrastructure. Number one, I I believe that you guys understand this, but you don't have any cities in your districts that are not dealing with aging water and sewer infrastructure.
So I've also got a bill, and thank you for bringing, when you said Bullard, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a water bill. His is 500 million, mine.
With half of it designated in counties under 30,000.
30,000, yes. Yeah. So I just presented mine in committee yesterday, and mine is setting up a fund that if we, a treasury, or a fund at the treasury to fund water projects if we ever sell water out of state. I think that's coming at some point, but I wanted, on this bill, what I did was, how I explained it to Coach Rader, Senator Rader. You guys all heard of Coach Rader from TU? He asked me a question. I'm like, Coach, I'll give it in your so you can understand it. I'm throwing the football to the running back, or the receiver that's running down the field. He's not there yet, but I'm placing that football where he's going to catch it. And so my bill is doing that. And yes, I know right where you're at because I gave a speech on it yesterday. Most of our towns, Oklahoma became a state in 1907. We had a lot of towns here before that, but 1907. Our water infrastructure in every town was put in that time frame. It's 80 to 100 years old or older, and you guys are putting Band-Aids on them. We've got to fix that. So Bullard has his idea. I've got mine to try to fund it, a continual fund to fix this, because this is a big problem.
And I think the follow-up is regarding, tax reductions. I mean, I think given that, golly, the vast majority of people in Oklahoma are living in a town and city dependent upon a municipal water or sewer system. It's one thing to not raise taxes, but to cut taxes when there are such dramatic needs clear across the state. There's not a town in this state that has a water and sewer infrastructure that's in.
And I'm going to give you a little bit of the argument in committee yesterday when Bullard was presenting that at A&B. It's a fight between large cities and us. And the senators from Oklahoma City and Tulsa just peppering him. Why do we need to pay this? Why do we need to pay this? And I asked him, and he was bringing up sales tax and why we've got to supplement these smaller towns. And he said their sales tax is low and going into that. And I asked him the question. I said, well, Senator Bullard, I said, are the people in these towns, have they just quit buying anything? He goes, no, they still buy stuff. I said, where are they buying it at? They buy it in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Mm-hmm. So they're getting the sales tax dollars. And it hurts the small communities like Alva,
Well, in per capita, I mean, you throw a densely populated Tulsa, Oklahoma City, or whatever, you got, hundreds of people on, a quarter-mile line, and we don't have that to offset. The line costs the same amount of money. It's just the number
more
of people.
per person.
Yeah.
I get it. You're preaching to the choir. I get it.
So I guess all that to say is, I mean, if the governor's wanting to, say, $300, $400, $500 million, it could be used on Oklahomans all across the state.
And I can't speak for the House. I don't think the Senate has a will to do that right at this moment because of the financial struggles we're looking at right now. And Oklahoma is still, total tax burden, still a pretty cheap place as far as taxes to live.
Comparatively, yeah.
So we have an income tax, but we're still cheaper than Texas, and they don't have an income tax to live.
So Ryan Walters and the governor and
Who is that?
so the emails that come out weekly from him are incredibly frustrating and very weaselly, it feels like. But I'm wondering, like, the undocumented children, free and public education. My daughter goes to school at Cherokee, and she's already had one one student that has been exited the area because they have to go to court because they're undocumented, and they've been here their whole life, middle school age. So that part of the entire thing is can you speak to that? Because that's a pretty, I don't know, a scary thing for me to just carte blanche, just do this, and sending it down from the federal government and taking out other things that are frustrating for me are the DEI removal of things out of policy. So that's also in the Department of Education, removing, strategically trying to get women more in the workforce or in administrative roles in education, stricken. So and I know a lot of people aren't looking that deep into things, and this is one of the deep things that I might have looked into, but can you speak to any of those things in your areas? What are your concerns? Do you have concerns?
Well, first of all, I think the pro tem on the Senate came out against that. The governors came out against that. He's talking. I mean, he can talk all he wants. I think he's running for governor. So him and Gentner Drummond have been campaigning for the last
3 years.
3 years, okay? And so this is campaign talk. I mean, I know it's scaring people, and I don't like it, but I had a talk with him last summer. I mean, and that was when he was fighting with some of the people in the House. I said, be the adult in the room. Just shut up and say, hey, we got good schools, got good teachers, we're making progress, and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, we are making progress in our education. I mean, we moved 119 schools out of the F list last year, okay? So the schools are doing better. So, but get off the rhetoric. I try to talk. He doesn't listen to me. He's one person. He is not decide what we're going to do. I mean, he
That's
can.
what we all want. It's just, and you bringing up the point that Trump started something, Biden did it, and the governor decided not going to do it because of that. Like, I appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, you got to realize we're in
That's not the
politics,
point.
and you've got politics, and what frustrated me about Ryan is when he first ran, I supported him, and the frustrating thing is he never quit running. You know, at some point you have the campaign and you win, and then you got to transition, and now you're leading. He never did transition out of campaigning to leading. He just kept campaigning, and he's still campaigning. So that's what frustrates me, because at some point the campaign's over and you have to start leading. And I never did see that happen. And I think he just his eye was on running for governor. I'd heard lieutenant governor. But all of the rhetoric that he is putting out there is targeted to the primary right Republican.
Well, I think
And so
that's
he's still
just
campaigning.
That's why he's doing the campaign speeches. I mean, that's the difference. I mean, you're looking at it right now. The gubernatorial race is on right now. I mean, granted, it's not for another 2 years, but it's on right now. I mean, McCall got in this week. And so, and all that, all the people are starting to get in right now. So they've been doing rhetoric, like I said. They've been campaigning for the last 2 years. I'm not campaigning for anything. I'm just going to tell you what I think.
Well, the rapid fire that's coming out, that, your head is spinning so fast trying to just keep up. And so then, for me personally, the fear increases because I don't know enough to ask the right questions, especially in this scenario. But it's just moving so fast that is that also rhetoric and just to, shake things up versus, okay, are we pausing? Are we looking at this? Or are we just shaking things up for the sake of shaking it?
So, thank you for saying that, because first of session, 3 weeks, I mean, it's been a blur the last 3 weeks in session. But you had Senator Devers that put out the 1017. I have no idea how many emails I got on that.
Good.
Taking away the extra things in schools like physical therapy, reaching out to those kids in need and stuff like that. He's wanting to take that out.
But that bill was not going to go anywhere. And the House is, but you guys changed rules this year, but correct me if I'm wrong, but the House has 8 bills that they can run. 8 bills. But you guys have some members that will file 50 or 60 bills.
Knowing the whole session, 8?
8.
Okay, good to know.
I mean, hey,
Knowing-
and then we can take I can only take 43 Senate bills, if I want.
But knowing that they only run 8, well, you've got guys that are filing bills just for that headline. Filing bills just to, they have no plan in running them.
Like
They're just shaking things up.
Like making the Department of Mental Health, and under the
Yeah.
Department of Corrections, what was the other one? We had the-
Changing Department of Corrections to Department of
Corruption.
Corruption.
Yeah.
It was,
I mean,
But-
and there were none. I happen to be on the bill list, the top 8s, and looking at them. None of those are on his top 8.
but what I've told some other eggs and issues is before you get your heart rate up, kind of wait till you start seeing them hit committees, because the committee chairs, if they don't pull them back, committee chairs just gonna say, we're not doing this. And that's the first filter of the process. So before you lose your mind and the world's coming to the end, just wait, because you've got a lot of politics going on, and they're doing things for splash, they're doing things to make the headlines.
Draw attention to themselves.
Yeah.
60 to 70% of those bills will be dead after the next week. Because they've got to be through the committee deadline and have been heard in committee to be able to be a bill. Okay? So that stuff, I should have started with that. We were still on the end of crazy bill season. I mean, I
And
got
so
in trouble for
that's-
putting in my call. I said it's a legislator's wish, but it's just some guy's idea, you know? One guy's idea.
So that season
Uh-huh.
is typically this time of year, and that's what we can expect this
Right.
time of year.
Right.
Every year as these headlines come out, we can just be like, okay, it's just crazy bill season,
Right.
we're just gonna wait.
Right.
Yep. Wait until the committees, they start, so if you watch what's being put on agendas for committees, those bills have some legs and they're gonna run. On the committee that I'm chair of, when I first read through all the bills that I got, I mean, first reading them, no. There was one, hell no. It's just, I mean, and that's the first filter. And then you have, well, they'll come talk to you. Well, I've emailed some senators saying, hey, I got problems with your bill. I'm not gonna hear it, but come talk to me. If you could tell me why, I'll give you an opportunity. But I've got 2 that has never even come talk to me. So I'm gonna say that was for a splash and make a headline. They don't really want to run the bill. They know it's gonna run.
It's been a long time since a lot of us have had civics class, and so it's a great refresher to know all of the way that things work. So that's,
Well, our founding fathers, the way they set up our system, were just geniuses. The vetting process, and you know, earlier I talked about how we were just fighting. Well, that's part of it. That's how we vet a bill. It's more a debate, but that's how we vet things out. You don't want us down there singing Kumbaya, running bills through that you got to live by without being vetted, without somebody debating it and saying, hey, this is a dumb idea. And then you got to explain, no, this is a good idea. And just through that process, we get better products for you guys.
And it also, when you go for the House bills, I run around with 100 other House members every day, okay? I go over to the Senate once in a while, and so I work with them quite a little bit too, but the House member is the one I got to put up with. It's kind of like people in your own home, you know, you got to put up with them every day. And so if they have an idea that you're going, oh, okay, I see it, you might do that. But then when it goes over to the Senate side, and the Senate bills come to our side, we go, that's just those senator bills. We don't.
Those crazy cousins
And so
that
it's
showed
a
up at
better
the family
vexing,
reunion.
it's a better analysis of the bill, because you're not hurting the guy sitting next to you, his bill, or you know, somebody you're gonna deal with every day. You're dealing with somebody over there, so it's a better way to look at it, because they gotta go through the same committee process and all that, and then be heard on the floor. So that's why it is a good deal to have 2 sides of the house, 2 sides of the building.
I had a senator in my office this week that I was not gonna hear the bill. It was just, in my mind, it was a crazy bill. And she made a decent point. I still don't like the bill. But I told her, I'm like, I will give you your day in court, and we'll see what the committee wants to do with it. So if they have a reasonable argument, as a chairman, I will give them an opportunity to let the committee hear it and see what they want to do with it. So, as chairman, I'm the first filter. And you make a compelling argument why you need to hear the bill. I let it be heard in the committee. That's the second filter. If the committee passes it, or don't pass it. The third filter would be the floor leader. For us, it's a she. For the House, it's a he. But the floor leader will decide what gets on the floor. So that's the fourth filter. And then it's got to be voted off the floor. That's the fifth filter. And then you start all over on the House side with that big filter. So we weed out a lot of bad ideas.
But like I said, 70% of them will be gone because a lot of them are shell bills, which mean they're just a title out there, and they leave at the end of committees.
Representative Newton, with
Yes.
the new House oversight structure with that committee, a two-part question.
Yep.
Does a bill technically, does it have to go through a committee before it shows up on an oversight committee?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Oversight committee, do you expect, or can it happen that you'll see like PCS is dropped in?
Sure. But here's the deal.
So maybe it
But by
didn't
the-
technically go through committee?
By the time they get to our committee, they should be ready to go to the floor.
Okay, so we're not gonna see a lot
So
of
basically, we
title
have
law on the
two-tier
floor.
committees right now in policy. We've always had it in budget. You had your subcommittees, and then you had your full appropriations committee. And now on the policy committee, we've got policy committees here, and then an oversight committee, which I'm a chair of an oversight committee. So I have public health, I have children and family services, I have alcohol, tobacco, and controlled dangerous substances, and I have veterans affairs. So those four committees, all the bills from those committees have to be heard again in my committee. And I get to hear or not hear what I want not to hear or hear. But like he says, if somebody has a compelling argument, and I say, it's not, I shouldn't be one person decides what gets to be decided for the state of Oklahoma. And so if it's a compelling argument, it will get heard. Our goal is, by the time, a lot of times, last year we had run a bill out of a policy committee, it wasn't ready for the floor. But yeah, we're getting on the floor and everybody's putting a PCS, or lack of another, they're rechanging the whole bill with a new big, huge amendment that changes the whole bill. We don't want that. We're trying to get it so that if there is those big amendments and stuff like that, that they're done within the committees before we take them to the floor. My goal is not to have the title on and not to be any major amendments done to it after it comes out of my committee.
So on the Senate side, you can't have a bill heard on the floor without title on it. And it happens once in a while. If it is still work in process and you're still working on it, we'll leave it, but it can't do anything until that title is on. But it doesn't happen very often.
You just take the ball,
Enacting clause.
enacting clause off of it. You leave the title off, but they take the enacting clause. The governor can't sign it without an enacting clause. So same thing.
It's a way of just kind of, if you're working on a bill, this way you don't have a crazy legislature. Say, I'm just working on it, and you leave that enacting clause, and he throws a bunch of crap in there, and then boom, it's to the governor. You've got that clutch that you can hit, so let's slow this thing up.
Same way with the title.
Same way with the title.
Just another way. Any other questions? Folks, thank you. I mean, we're trying to do, there's things that we're facing new every day. Like I said, I haven't heard all the Senate bills. You haven't heard a lot of the House bills. I haven't even heard all the House bills because they're all in different committees and we're all focused in our little areas right now. But it comes together, and we'll be back in another month. Is that correct? Is it next month?
Yeah, May. End of April. For the
End of April? Okay, we'll be back in the end of April. By then, I'll be dealing with the Senate bills, and I can tell you how bad they are. Okay? So, we'll be looking forward to that. But no, please reach out to us. We put out a column every week. It's got my office number, my office email. I want you to contact me. I've got my cards here. I've got to give you my cell phone. I'm not scared to talk to you. I may not respond the next 2 weeks because oversight committees, I'm taking care of 60 to 70 bills right now in the next 2 weeks. So that's what I'll be concentrating on. But I try to get with you. But it is an honor for us to get to represent you. Thank you for allowing us to be up there. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Do you have any other updates? Is there any updates from the city?
You're the mayor. There's a lot going on. We appreciate everybody's patience with the winter weather that we've had as we, try to clear streets and make sure trash gets picked up and things like that. Clearly, we've been having discussions at the city council level regarding emergency medical services, so ambulance services. If you're not comfortable placing your opinions on Facebook, I'm probably more comfortable with that. But catch up with one of your council members, myself or Mr. Ford, so that we do have all of the information that our people want us to have as we continue to look at that issue and the options that we have moving forward. The pool is continuing to move forward. We're not without a little bit of challenge, but the pool is continuing to move forward, and we look forward to opening that this summer. The airport's got a lot of exciting opportunities coming forward with some 5% match on capital improvement projects. So that's going to allow a lot of great things to happen at the airport. We're well into our project out at the well field with moving forward to get a new storage tank out there, as well as telemetry systems in place for our community, which is a great OWRB partnership for us. We appreciate everything that agency does for the city of Alva. So whatever you can do to bolster them, we appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So anybody have any questions?
Can I make one more comment?
Absolutely.
I have an intern this year. I have a great intern. Emily Barton is serving in my office this year, so they're helping me. So it's nice to have a young Alva girl, very sharp young lady. So she hasn't been there that much the last 2 weeks because she's there 2 days a week, and we've had snow days every 2 of those days. So anyway, but no, Emily Barton's getting to help me out, and so if you have any questions, you can always ask Emily or Melinda, and then send them up to Emily, and then she can pick on me because she sits literally when I'm in my office. She is in the office. If anybody comes in and talks to me, she's there because I want her to get the full exposure of what it's like. So anyway, it's a blessing.
Any updates from the university?
Yeah, so we have a play going on right now. It started last night, so some of you might have gone. It's tonight at 7 and Saturday at 2. It's called The Cave, and it's $3 to get in, so good entertainment for Alva. Also on March 1st, we are hosting our spring showcase. It's a recruitment event, much like our Ranger Preview. This one is geared toward high school seniors, obviously, but also transfers. So if you know anybody, they get a $500 scholarship just for attending on March 1st. We also have a few athletic events that have been rescheduled. So if you plan on athletic events, go to riderangersride.com to see our athletic calendar, because if I tell you the times and things, I will forget and say the wrong date. So make sure to visit our websites for the correct times and dates on those.
One more. Steve will appreciate this. We see the posts on social media or whatever, but if everybody would get the City of Alva app, it's in the App Store. Go get the City of Alva app. You'll find out if we've had a weather delay on your trash pickup or any of these other things, and you don't have to wonder, is somebody picking up my trash? We put those announcements out on that app. We also put them on our social media. There's ways for everybody to know what's going on. If you want to help your neighbors that maybe aren't as technologically advanced, that'd be great too.
And if you go to your website, alvaok.org, it does have the option to download it there, right? I believe that's true. So
There's a QR code on there too.
Yeah.
You can use phone and take right to the App Store and get it.
Awesome. Any other things that are going on?
Lindy had something.
The Little Red Hens have a few events coming up. One is Girls' Day In. It's in March for middle school girls. And then we have the Tea Party in April and the community-wide garage sale. But our next big event is the 4th of July daytime activities. We cannot do that by ourselves this year. We only have 4 people that might be able to run a game. So if there's any groups or organizations or any Boy Scouts you know of, or anybody that wants to sponsor a game or like run a cornhole thing or just any game, we need help. It's kind of like the Christmas thing. We need help, otherwise we're not going to be able to do it.
And I know everybody wants 4th of July to be
Yeah.
again, like it used to be, so moving off of the Christmas event, maybe getting some more people to help with that, to help the Little Red
Or
Hens.
if you know of any groups that need volunteer time or anything like that, please let me know and I will reach out to them.
Citizens Choice Awards Gala is March 28th, and the voting for that is due next Friday. So make sure that you get your votes in if you want to do that. I see some nominees in here. We've got Joe, who's up for Citizen of the Year, and Arden, who's up for Lifetime Achievement. Is there anybody else? Are you guys?
How about
Jesse
you two?
or Rael?
How about you two?
Yeah.
Jody and Megan up for
Jody and
Community
Megan.
Positive Impact.
But anyway, so go vote for that, and be looking for your 80s attire.
Yes.
I got mine ordered.
They were trying to.
So we're really excited about that. Make sure March 28th is that date. Also, Turkey Hunt's coming up in April. So we'll have some people in town for that. We'll talk more about that next month.
We'll be, I'm just going to backtrack on the gala. If you are a chamber business, we are getting your tickets ready for you to be able to have that. Have your tickets. If you need tickets, we have them available in the office. And I'm in the office Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 2. And then,
We've sold half the tables, so if you want a table, get on
yes,
the list.
it is true. So next community coffee will be at Ross Menagerie over spring break. So that Friday of spring break, we don't typically have one. We typically take spring break off, but I was like, hey, we're gonna be open for spring break. Let's do it out there. So so come on out to the Menagerie, 8 a.m. On, I'm not sure what the date is. Oh, it would be the 21st
Yeah.
because it's the same.
And then
Saturday,
also
yes.
bank it for the Woods County Sheriff's Department for fingerprinting ID stuff. So any bank in town, and some will match a portion of your donation.
And I feel like we should also say Music in Alva. That fund is growing. So if you would like to donate for Music in Alva, that's sound on the downtown square. We're still accepting
We've got somebody
donations
that will
towards
match
that.
5,000 if we can get 5,000 in.
So if that's something that you're interested in, just improving quality of life downtown as you're shopping, you just have that music going. It's just a, you know, if you remember back at Christmas time, during that first weekend, it was great to just have that music playing, and that's what we'd really like to have downtown.
Okay, anybody else?
Thank you all.
Oh, wait.
Rachel.
I want to thank the library for
Yes,
providing
yes.
such a wonderful breakfast and everything for us. So
Back to the
thank
doors.
you.
Yes, there's plenty.
Thank you.
And thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate your time. Have a good day.